Hello and welcome to this episode of the Buried Rat Podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about AI. So before I start this, I actually used ChatGPT to help me write the episode. And I think I want to mention the fact that it just clocked my T for no reason. Like, I put in my YouTube channel and said these are the types of videos. Because originally I was just going to ask for different prompts for video topics because I just became fresh out of ideas because I keep doing things that are too big and then I can't fit it into a 15-minute podcast episode like this. When I asked ChatGPT about who I am and what my videos are like and all that stuff, it said they make really entertaining, often chaotic or comedic deep dives and critiques about random internet stuff, games, odd trends, and unexpected cultural rabbit holes. They also have a kind of ironic, self-aware humor. And I was like, okay, sure. And then when I asked for those prompts, it was saying the reason that the prompts fit was because there was a bit of chaos and irony. And it just kept calling me chaotic over and over and over again. And I was like, am I chaotic? Yeah. An AI-themed episode totally fits Buried Rat's chaotic internet culture exposing vibe. There's so much weird, meme-worthy, slightly cursed content to dig into. Is that what this is? Is it chaotic internet culture? It probably is, and I don't like that. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. We're gonna actually get into the episode now, I'm so sorry. Okay, we're gonna get into this episode. This episode was partially written by AI, but I approved everything. So yeah, let's get into it. So what is AI? According to ChatGPT, again, AI stands for artificial intelligence, and it is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems, including learning, data input and pattern recognition, reasoning, self-correction, and language understanding. So I guess it's a brain, but it's a computer, but it's doing human things, but it's a computer, I guess, is kind of the overall thing with that. And then ChatGPT specifically is an AI language model developed by OpenAI that can understand and generate human-like text based on prompts. So why do people use AI? And again, this is the ChatGPT's attempt to make my format of a script. So why? It says the reasons are personal, commercial, scientific/academic, and social/ecological, which I'm going to get to that ecological one later. But yeah, personal. Personally, people use it for productivity help, which I think makes sense. Creative brainstorming, which is literally how this video started in the first place. Entertainment, which I think there's a lot to be said about the new AI-generated videos being created. Even the brain rot, kids' brain rot videos, I think those are AI-generated, which is making me wonder, is that the future of entertainment? Are kids gonna love Ballerina Cappuccina and Tung 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 Sahur like that? I also work at a daycare and I hear kids just say brain rot all the time, and I'm like, what? Why is this entertaining? Is this funny? Is this cool? Is this what the kids are watching? Because when I was a kid, I had Dinosaur Train, I had Sid the Science Kid, I had actual educational even Sesame Street Girl. I had everything that was actually educational, and now kids are getting brain rot. I don't know if AI is necessarily going to be making the educational content that kids need, but that could probably be a whole other separate episode of just children's entertainment and edutainment as a whole. But anyway, sorry. Back to the topic at hand. And it also said another personal reason for AI is companionship. Which at first I was like, what do you mean by companionship? And then I thought about all of the dating simulator games that exist. Oh my gosh. And just you can essentially go on a date with AI if you really want to. There's some freak shit, no offense to anyone, but there's some freak shit online that has AI doing things like that for people. Because people are just missing that social connection so much. If this thing that is making human-like text is going to give it to you, they'll take it. And I'll even admit to, sometimes I will ask ChatGPT, like, for a solution, or, like, economic advice, or, like, you know, just advice if you don't feel like there's a person that will give you the advice that you're looking for. ChatGPT literally has, like, access to therapist resources and to advisor resources, any type of legal professional resource, any type of professional you need, ChatGPT technically has access to. And sometimes I take advantage of that because I'm like, who do I talk to for this? How do I go to this place? This thing is, you know, like, or literally just essentially a cost benefit analysis you can get from ChatGPT. And I think that's so weird that it's gotten to a point where we don't rely on actual people and we use the expert advice that's on the internet and we have ChatGPT go reach it for us instead of, I don't know, actually going to look ourselves. Next is the scientifics. Hello. Next is the commercial aspects. Sorry, maybe I can't read. The commercial aspects include automating support, which makes sense to me. You know, you call a doctor's office, most of the time it's a generated voice. There is generating marketing content, which I don't think I've seen, at least not too much of. Actually, no, yeah, I have seen where it'll be like a very strange video with a text-to-speech voice over it, and somehow that's supposed to get me to buy pants. You know what I mean? It's something always a little odd, and you can tell it's AI generated. But I feel like because of that, AI is going to start improving. Like, it's going to receive the critiques and feedback and start improving because of it, which is kind of scary, but maybe that's a good thing for marketing. I don't know. It also said data analysis, which makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's one of the main uses of AI right now, is that it takes a very broad spectrum of different things and can kind of condense it into a summary. I think that, in my head, I mean, like, obviously data analysis is more than that, but I think AI has a much better ability than a human being to take on very, very, very large swaths of data and to condense it into the most important pieces. Next is the scientific/academic portion of it, which I also kind of understand, especially as an active college student. You can't really go into a college classroom without them having a generative AI statement, or you have to sign something that, you know, you're not going to use AI to write your papers for you, because it's gotten to a point where teachers can't tell. And they'll say, oh, we have an AI detection tracker. Sometimes those don't even work because AI is getting so good and so advanced. It truly is hard to tell if it was AI generated or not. Now, obviously, if a person, like, I have a writing style, everyone has a writing style. It might be obvious that the language it's using is too elevated or too low, or maybe there's incorrect punctuation, and things like that could be red flags, but it also really depends on who the person is, what they're turning in, what the topic of the paper is. There's so much where in an academic setting, I don't know, I think it makes sense that teachers want AI to stay out of the academic setting. I think it's okay to generate ideas. I don't think people should be using it to write their entire paper for them. But that is also just me. And we're in a place where AI exists and it's not going away anytime soon. And we do just kind of have to adapt and figure that out. It can be used to accelerate research, which is kind of what I was saying with the, like, summarizing thing. ChatGPT and other AI models can take large data sets and especially research papers and condense them into the actual important information. It says analyzing massive data sets, which, I mean, that's what I've been saying this whole time. hypothesis generation, which I think is also interesting with AI because it has access to so much information. It can probably help you write a thesis or a hypothesis or, whatever you need that no one has ever done before, because it knows that no one has ever done that before. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it can definitely help steer research into places where it's never been. And then lastly is social/ecological. So information and accessibility is the first thing it says, which I think is, again, just summarizing. Combating misinformation, which I don't know if that's true or not. Because of all of the information that ChatGPT is getting, I don't know if it takes in an Onion article as, pure fact. I don't know the answer to that. If someone knows, sound off in the comments, but I feel like it's probably, if it's not there, it's definitely going to get there at some point. But for now, I think it's something just to be aware of, that AI probably isn't always the best solution, and it probably isn't the best at parsing through information, even though I just said how it has this great ability to parse through a whole medical journal. It can, but also be wary. Anyway, some examples that it gave me. I literally said, just give me a list of examples with the sources cited. So some of these have sources cited. The first two I'm going to talk about have sources cited, and then the rest is just kind of more general things. Even though I said specific examples. These two are very specific examples, and then I'm going to get into more general. So the first examples are AI-assisted healthcare, which sounds very weird. But the first one's a Wired article, and it was a person who had jaw issues from boxing. And they asked ChatGPT about it, and it essentially diagnosed them and gave them a treatment plan, which is crazy because that's the point of a doctor. And also, doctors are hundreds of dollars sometimes, depending on what it is. The fact that you can just type into AI for free, I'm having XYZ medical issue, and sometimes it can really help. The next example was from the New York Post, and it's just that. About this woman who, she kept going to different doctors because she had this issue with, I think it was her fingers were hurting when they were, moving around in the evenings and night. And they said, oh, it's just arthritis. And when she asked ChatGPT for help, and then she also had stomach issues that caused her to lose, I think it was 14 pounds in less than a month. Which, hey, that's a lot. I don't have the metric conversion for anyone who's overseas, but that is a lot. Especially for under a month. And, is obviously a cause for medical concern. And doctors did not give her, clear, straightforward answers, and found out she had cancer. And ChatGPT was able to take her symptoms and be like, you have this condition, and yeah. So when actual doctors aren't able to do certain things, it's very odd that this free online ChatGPT service or other AI services can help you with these things. And it's another thing to think about how biased the medical community is. I'm thinking autism specifically, just because I read a book about it recently, but it goes pretty much full spectrum with the medical community. They weren't prescribing painkillers to people of color for the longest time because people just thought that black people had thicker skin or were more resistant to pain. And even to this day, they're given lower doses of painkillers. Their pain isn't taken seriously. It's a whole issue. And I'm not a doctor. This probably isn't my place to talk, but it is something that I think people should think about more. Next is law. And this is where these aren't going to be as specific anymore. AI is being used to summarize transcripts of legal court proceedings, and also to help write legal papers and help formulate things, which I thought was really interesting. But there's also a very, I don't know what the word is, I guess provocative, maybe not provocative. There's an issue of sorts when it comes to AI and law, because is it malpractice? Is that, should you not be allowed to practice law anymore because you used AI to help generate, like part of your case or whatever it is. Like there's a lot that goes into that. I'm not a lawyer. That's not my thing. If anyone's interested, please research, or if anyone has any experience, please tell me below. Next is AI in the home. I think something we have all just universally neglected to realize is AI anymore is things like Siri, is things like Alexis, but with an A, by Amazon, and then Google Home, those types of like home devices that you can talk at. It's AI. It is taking in your message and it's doing whatever task you ask it to, or responding to your prompts, or Googling things for you. It's AI, and I think a lot of us have been like, no, it's just Siri. Like she's just gonna set my little reminder for me, or she's gonna set my timer for me. That's how I use Siri, but it is AI. And then lastly is cars, which I think we're also kind of not thinking about as much. But there's, Teslas that have the self-driving feature. But on top of that, there are cars that are fully autonomous and run like solely off of cameras and AI generated input on what the traffic scenario is, which I could go into a whole thing about how dangerous that is and how most streets in the world are not designed for an AI car to be driving on them. There's a great video by Not Just Bikes on autonomous cars and like the pretty much doomsday scenario of what AI cars could look like, which I'm going to try to link in the description if I remember to. When you put all of these human drivers next to an AI automated driver that can't really predict, like obviously it can drive on a clear road on a perfect day, but what if it's snowing? What if there's hail? What if there's a deer in the road? Is it going to think the deer is a person, or is it another car? Like there's so many different issues that AI driving is having right now that I don't know if it's going to be feasible in the future. But that also is just me being very skeptical of cars in general, but especially cars that aren't being driven by a human being. Even if it has a faster reaction time, what is it reacting to? Because if it thinks a kid is just a cone that it can knock over, there's a problem there. Anyway, yeah, I think that's enough of this episode. If you enjoyed, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.